Let me get a heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat. Can I get a heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, yeah, heat check, 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 heat check. Let me get a heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check.
What's up, SML? Welcome back to Heat Check. We are still on air, despite taking a week off here. I am here joined. We had a guest today, but he bailed. So it was just myself and my co-host, the hottest man in the SML right now, Mad Bomber, still probably coming off his high from the other night. How you doing on this snowy Super Bowl Sunday?
I am very good. Actually, just finished the game with Coop, and 37-0 against him. I was worried it was going to be a little trap game, but that didn't happen. So looking forward to taking a little couple-day break before we take on Woods.
Yeah, that was good to not. Sometimes those games you're coming off a high and you just don't come out prepared for the next one. So it was nice to see you do that. Shook up my top seven, right at the last minute here. So big win for you for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I always worry about Coop because it seems every season he gets me one game. So it was good to get at least the one win for myself out of the way. We'll see how the next one goes.
Gives you another leg up on Prime this season too. So
yeah, he's got a tougher schedule coming up. It's not going to be easy for him to close out the season with all wins. We'll see how that does.
No, definitely not. No, it's going to be an interesting division to watch. Definitely one of the top division races for sure.
Yeah, definitely a lot more interesting than that NFC North. He's sitting over there with like an 8-game lead already.
You play the schedule that's put in front of you. But I will say that I forget who it is that I think said it on a show, but how the division like that can hurt you come playoff time because you haven't had the same, like you're battling Prime, twice a season as a tune-up before the playoffs. I will say that I am starting to feel that as these tighter games come, and then you only get them late in the season, so it's like, man, it can be tough.
Yeah, I could see where that would hurt you, hold you back a little bit. But so let's jump right into these standings. Instead of recaps this week, we're going to go ahead and we'll just run through the standings. We're going to keep this show a little bit shorter than usual, just so Faz can start cooking, get his Betty Crocker.
Yeah, I'm one of those really smart people who saves all of the things they have to do on Super Bowl Sunday for Super Bowl Sunday while it's snowing.
So we got about 4 hours, so we'll see if we can get to this quick. So we'll just start with AFC North. And this one, it just got closer. Woods just lost to NYT, actually, to bring that to within one game. Rest of the AFC North, though, it looks pretty much over. Two-step, he got his one win. He's sitting at 1-7, and then KJ 0-7-1. He got his tie. Things aren't going to get any easier for KJ. He's still got me and Prime left on his schedule, so I haven't seen the rest of it, but it really doesn't matter. When you're 0-7,
yeah,
everybody's better than you. So
yeah, he'll be picking high once again.
Yeah, he will, and luckily he's got his pick, so maybe he'll build it up. I think I saw the AFC Rookie of the Year on defense. He's got like 3 guys on that top 10 list, so maybe his team will eventually come around. It's just tough to develop.
Get some dev bumps,
Yeah. But that's the AFC North. Looks like it's going to come down to Woods and NYT, which has basically been every season this cycle. Who do you think is going to pull it out between the two of them?
I like Woods this year. That team is nice. I think that he has finally found a quarterback that he seems committed to. I don't blame him for splitting your division. You drop one to NYT. It's tough to beat the guy twice. But I think that he does close it out in the end here.
Yeah, I think I'm going to lean towards Woods as well, just because he just added J.J. Watt to that defense. And I don't know how well he's doing so far, but, I mean, you just keep adding those little stars to that defense, and it's going to be tough for other teams. Even just the mental aspect of it. You see all those stars, and you start changing the way you play.
Yep. Yeah, he's got, 3 toughish games on the schedule here, but, as a whole, I think it's going to be tough for NYT to close the gap.
Yeah, he's still got to make up a whole another game, so we'll see how that goes. Next, we'll move on to the AFC South. Similar situation. It looks like it's going to be between me and Prime. And it's really just going to come down to these 2 games. I think it's week 14 and 16. We play each other. So as long as everything continues on, those will be 2 big games. He does have Dan, though, week 17. So that's going to be a tough one that he may need to win. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, for sure. It's again, this is probably going to be the most fun divisional race to watch in the SML down the stretch here.
Well, I'm glad you're having fun. For me, it's nerve-wracking every time I got to play him twice a year. So
yeah, I mean, I just sit back and watch, and it's been a blast. And then playoffs comes, and it's a lot more stressful. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah. So then the other 2 teams, Coop down there 4-4-1, just beat him 37-0. He's got a tough team, like we were talking about with the Browns and Woods. Tons of stars on that defense. I think I counted 8 out of 11 guys have an ability on that defense. It didn't help him too much, but you've got to double Givens. You can't run outside on Clowney's side. I mean, it's a good defense. I like what he's doing there. He just needs to figure out how to use them better.
Outside shot at the playoffs too. You know, looking at the schedule, the only tough games left. I mean, he has you again, NYT, you know, possibly, and then he does have Panthers in week 15. But you know, the rest of this, he's got a lot of winnable games in that schedule. So we'll see if he can sneak in.
Yeah, and he's played pretty well so far this season. I mean, 4-4 doesn't really show it. He had a weird tie with KJ, but he's played everybody tough. He's got a win over Prime, so he's definitely got a shot. And then October, 2-7. I feel bad because I was one of those 2. Not sure what happened. We salute you,
October.
Yeah, he's I don't know, that first season he makes the playoffs, and then it's been downhill ever since then. So
yeah, it's a tough run with that Texans team. If you're not willing to commit to competing pretty much every season with their pick situation, it's an ugly spot.
Yeah, we'll see how he does now that I think he's got Woods' 2nd round pick or his 1st round pick that he picked up for Watt. But I mean, you lose J.J. Watt and you gain a pick that's maybe going to be a 70 something. I don't know how much that's going to help, and especially with only like 4 or 5 more seasons left.
Right.
Then we'll go to the AFC East. Kind of an upside down division. You got Paulie at the top, which is pretty expected. But then you got the Jets and Latin Yanks, 5-4. Meanwhile, the guy that was in the AFC Championship last year, Matt, is sitting at 2-6. And then Noel 1-7. I don't know what's going on with Noel. He goes from the playoffs to possibly the worst team. Well, he's not the worst team. Not as long as a couple other teams are still in the league. But yeah, he's definitely strong. 114 points. That's all he scored all season.
Yeah. For Noel, it seems to be a lot of team building for me. I mean, we're still kicking with Jameis Winston at quarterback. My daddy league's just crashed, so I guess I can't look at his roster. But
what doesn't make sense?
We're still looking at the 2 slow running backs.
Yeah, he does have the slow running backs. Winston just picked up Superstar this past offseason, and he's just gotten worse. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened or what those abilities did to Noel. Maybe he was so used to overcompensating. But 1-7 is that's bad.
Yeah.
Especially when he was it seemed like he was getting a little offended by people saying that he wasn't that good. He kept referencing last season and 13-3, or last cycle 13-3, all the work he did with the Bucs. I mean, you got to do something with the Bills though. That was last cycle. Half the league wasn't even here last cycle. So
it's true.
They know you as 4th place in the AFC East. You're gonna have to do something with the Bills to change that. And then Matt, just get back to running. Drew Lock already. He's already superstar. What are you trying to develop him for?
That ship might have sailed for this season already.
Yeah. And then I actually just watched the Jets play the Giants. I don't know if you caught the end of that game. First off, Latin Yanks streams are extremely entertaining to watch. He gets pretty excited with his little ghost cam.
Oh, does he keeps the commentary on?
He keeps the commentary on. He keeps the camera on. He's standing the whole time. It's pretty good.
I got to get in there now.
Yeah, he gets a little excited sometimes. It's fun to watch. But he's sitting at 5-4. He just lost to Rowan. I don't know what he was doing. We've talked about him, benching his rookie superstar quarterback and starting Derek Carr. So it's 4th and goal on the 1-yard line. He's down 3. Under 2 minutes to go. Does he kick the field goal? Hell no. He's going for it. Okay,
which is fine.
You're sitting at 4-4 or 4-3, whatever. You want to go for it, or 5-3. He's 5-3 going into this game. You want to go for it. it's not often you're near the top of your division. Cool, go for the win.
I like it.
Don't take out your starting quarterback, put in your third string quarterback, and try a sneak up the middle. I don't know what you're thinking there. You got a running back averaging almost 10 yards a carry, and he
Yeah,
of
I
course
saw that
gets stuffed.
He put his tweet out, and it said something about like he wanted to use his height. Like I got nothing for that. I don't.
Yeah,
I can't think of one reason why you would have.
No, and I
would
don't
have gone
know.
with that one.
So Dola Gallo, whatever his name is, I think he's 6'7", and I'm gonna pull it up right now on my phone. But there's no way Bates is like that much shorter. So even if height was your thing, I mean, you've got Bates 6'2", 5 inches. So there's a 5-inch difference. But let's not forget, you just had this guy. He's got an 85 speed, by the way, Bates. So if you wanted to run something like a rollout, but he also just took you 10 yards down to the 1. So the guy can move, he can gain yards, and you pull him out for this guy that probably had to wear someone else's helmet because he had no thoughts of going in the game with under 2 minutes left on a 4th and goal. And obviously it didn't work out.
I will never forget playing junior hockey. We had a very interesting coach, and we were playing in a showcase up in somewhere in New England. I don't even remember where, but I was backing up that game, and my buddy was in, and we're playing tie game. I think it's like 4-4, 5-5. There's like literally 45 seconds left in the game. My coach looks at me. He's like, "Put your helmet on, go in." I was like, what? I was like, no. I was like, what do you mean go in? He's like, yeah, you're going in. Pull the goalie. It's like, oh, okay. So I go running in there, cold as anything, 45 seconds left. Thank God didn't blow the game, but I just could not even imagine a coach would do that. And now I see there's more people like him. So
yeah, I think that'll be the last time we see him do that. At least I hope.
I would hope so. Yeah.
He immediately regretted that decision. So we'll see if that sticks with him.
Yep.
Next up, actually, a division that I didn't think would be that close, and it is. Broncos 8-0, Raiders 7-1. Future's looking really good. I know we say this, it seems like every season is Future back, but he's sitting at 7-1. His defense looks much improved. I think he's in the top half of the league in defense now. And he's got that running back Ginn. He's got Ruggs, tons of speed on this team.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's got Haskins is his quarterback now. So he's done with the quarterback carousel of picking up guys off free agents. And he got Haskins. I think this could be the season he's back. I still want to see him beat Dan, though. Because until then...
I would like to see him beat Dan or keep it close. I mean, I'm looking at his games. We've got a 7-point win over ZZ. He loses to Dan by 21. He beats up on Coop pretty good, but then only a 4-point win over Hova, 10-point win over Latin, pretty good win over Noel, 8-point win over Matt. So like the schedule hasn't exactly been daunting to this point.
Yeah, I want to see him just like start putting teams away. Like,
yeah,
give me a 35-14 or something like that. Just
right.
Some of these lower teams that aren't playoff teams shouldn't be hanging around to 4-point games.
Right. Especially with all those offensive weapons.
Yeah. But 7-1 is still pretty impressive other than that 20-point blowout to Dan. So
yep.
He's got another shot at him before the season's over, and that'll really tell us a lot, I think. But as it is, 7-1, you got to think he's basically a lock for the playoffs. I mean, barring an epic collapse.
Yeah,
so,
it would take a meltdown to miss at this point.
So he'll definitely have a chance to make some noise. DW and the Chargers about where he usually is, 3-5. Then we just lost
Great
ZZ.
Raider, though.
We lose ZZ. We pick up Raider fans. So ZZ probably one of the worst players in the league. We talked about this. You got the Chiefs. You should be winning games, and he still couldn't make the playoffs with the Chiefs. But he was hovering around 500, 7-9, something like that. Then Raider fan takes over the Chiefs. Holy shit! We've been blown out twice. 1-7 now for the Broncos. The way he played last game, I'm not sure he's going to win a game. Unless he's got his human joystick running back from last year somewhere stuffed in his pocket and he's going to bring him out before this season's over. I don't know if he's got a chance to win a game. He looked really bad. Maybe it's the first time he's played Madden 21 since the game came out. I don't know. But he's got to turn it around. Well, especially
SML conspiracies. He took this team. He's still pissed off about not getting the Raiders, and he's decided he's going to tank every game as the Chiefs.
He's just going to lose them all,
just out of spite for the Chiefs.
Not going to lie, that's how it looked. It was bad. But he was playing Dan also, so Dan can do that too.
Well, then he played Figs.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, Figs was one of them. Speaking of the NFC North, that'll be our next division, and you have the Vikings. Obviously, you sitting at 7-1. You're only lost to Washington, which he's kind of a one I can't really figure out. As soon as I think he's really good, he drops a game. But this division Q
does that.
Pretty much a cakewalk for you. Already with a 4-game lead. You got Mike sitting there 3-5. He seems to be having some trouble with his quarterback. I think he threw a bunch of interceptions last time to you, actually.
Yeah, he's just a little inaccurate. Sometimes the ball placement just isn't there, and it'll cost him on pretty much any tight window throw.
And I know he likes that rookie running back Bigsby, but I think he's going to miss Aaron Jones a little bit.
Yeah. I don't blame him for getting rid of a running back trying to build a roster. I can't really hate that. He's not an X Factor guy. I don't even think he's superstar. He does break, a zillion tackles, but I don't hate the move. Try and develop this new guy, get some abilities on him, see what happens.
No, nothing wrong with the move. Just saying that for at least this season, there's going to be a difference, I think.
For sure.
But you look at the way some of these rookie running backs have developed. You got Bayless in Baltimore, just hit superstar. I have Hendricks hit superstar 2 or 3 games ago. Ginn, superstar. Edens, superstar. That's 4 guys came out of this draft, and I may even be missing one, but that's 4 running backs. 2 of them, I think, 2 or 3 started at normal. So
that's crazy.
You can definitely develop these guys.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I can't get a breakout game to save my life.
Yeah. It's weird too, because like NYT had Dobbins last season, or since the cycle began, couldn't get him to superstar. He drafts the guy, and by week 10, he's got him superstar.
I do think in this Madden they've tuned the development games a little bit, and I think that the generator rookies get them more often than the stock players.
Yeah, it does feel like that. Because I haven't had anything with Chenault, and I had him since he was like 22 or 21.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah. But then we have the Bears and the Lions. Lions picking up his first win, beats the Saints. Thank you, Hova. I needed that.
I called it.
I got that Saints first pick, so I was more than happy to see that. And of course, well, we'll get to it next, but so that's the NFC North. Let's go to the NFC South. We'll call them the uninterested division, because, and it's funny because people are only uninterested when they lose. I haven't seen anybody win, like when Dookie's putting up 40 points on guys and blowing them out. Michael Thomas with like 2 catches for 1,200 yards. You don't see anything in the chat about, I'm not really interested, whatever. I'm the greatest passer alive. My offense is amazing. My defense is the best that's ever been in any game. And
funny how that works.
It's not until they lose that you know what, I'm not really interested. And
or they're tanking.
Yeah, or they're tanking. Well, it started with Royce. He was so uninterested that he left. And then you had
I think he genuinely was uninterested, though.
he probably was. Maybe that's where they got it from.
Yeah.
It's contagious in the NFC South. So Royce leaves. He's uninterested. Dookie talks for an entire week leading up to the game about how he's going to beat me by 30. In chat, he said something about how I was one of the 3 teams he wanted to play in the Super Bowl when we were talking about that because he could shut me out. Didn't happen. 28-14. And of course, what happens in chat? I wasn't interested. We know you weren't interested. You just wanted to talk. And then
I feel like that was the most predictable timeline. Like,
absolutely.
Just everything, just like it almost felt like we've seen.
Yeah.
Like you just knew it was coming.
There's always an excuse.
Yeah.
Or he's gained confidence from the loss. One of the two.
Yes. 2 great lines.
And then you had the Saints. He goes out, loses to the Lions, blows a lead, loses to the Lions.
Ouch.
And you knew it was coming. Everybody, I think, thought it was going to be the I'm tanking, but he comes out with the I wasn't really interested. I'm bored of Madden now. Never before the game, always after the loss. So Lawyer's sitting there at 4-5. Hopefully he doesn't lose interest too. He actually played Prime really tough. And I think what gets lost, though, is the Panthers beat Dookie the week before I played him. So he's sitting at 5-3. Dookie's 6-2. They play one more time, and Dookie still has. He's got Prime. He's got Washington. Actually, Washington. I think they're playing tomorrow. What do you think about the chances that Dookie doesn't even win the division?
I mean, the chances there. I mean, he's got a difficult schedule. He's got a lot of games that can go either way. Q played him very tight. I think we play in week 17.
Yep.
Our games have been tight. Obviously, Panthers have shown he can beat him. Prime's going to be ready for that game. So he's definitely got some droppable games. I can see him splitting them. 2-2. I haven't looked at Panthers' schedule, but that might leave the window open for him to jump in there and take that division. The Panthers' defense is solid.
Yeah.
He threw some questionable interceptions in our game, which gave me the win because I struggled on offense. Honestly, those corners are locked down; they stick you like glue. The pass rush is quick, so he's not an easy team to play against by any means. And looking at his schedule, he's got some tougher ones on there. He has he has Dookie. He's got Rowan on there, and we know Rowan can beat anybody depending on the day. He's got Meats on there, so this is going to be another good division battle to watch.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot closer than it has been in previous seasons.
For sure.
So the other thing about this division, and I'll pick on Colt again because before he became uninterested after this Lions loss, he was talking in chat about like, the tough part of my schedule is over. I don't see myself any worse than 7-9 the rest of the way. I'm going to lose 3 more. The Buccaneers, Vikings, and I'll let you guess the third. Well, I don't know if anybody would have guessed the Lions getting their first win in the very next game. But he's got a bye week coming up that he's on right now. And then it's Bears, Buccaneers, Vikings, Eagles, which they're a weird team we'll get to, Packers, Seahawks, and Titans. You think there's any chance he goes 7-9?
Oh, I'd put that at almost a negative percent.
Do you think there's any chance he wins 3 more games to go 5-11?
Man, 3 will be tough.
Yeah.
3 will genuinely be tough. I see 2 that I think I would favor him in.
Which 2?
Figs and Tiny.
Okay, I'll give you Figs. I think I favor Tiny in that one.
Tougher, yeah. I might even favor Tiny.
He's got a win over Meats. He's 3-5, but he does play in arguably the toughest division outside of his own team.
Easily, yeah.
If you look at any team in the division or any team in the league, and you take them out of their division, he's got the toughest 3 opponents, I think.
Yeah.
So that's.
So yeah, that one might even be a toss-up. That might even be. Yeah, that might not even be one he's favored. So, I mean, he's definitely got his work cut out for him. That's for sure.
I think he might win one more game, which would be great because that put him at 3-13, and I have that first round pick. So, which is kind of why I asked. Just curious where I should be looking at picking.
I would scout high. Yep.
Yeah.
I would scout some of the top guys for sure. Make sure you've got some info on them. Figure out the Heisman winner because you're going to have a shot at them.
That is good news for the Jaguars. So that's going to move us. For the rest of the AFC. Yeah, it's not good news for them. But looking at the NFC East, so we've talked about the NFC East as being a team or a division that nobody wanted to win. You had 8-8 teams winning it, and then Washington comes in, and we talked about him being a possible Super Bowl contender. He's a future number 1 seed, maybe. And he's really not pulling away from the pack. He's sitting at 5-3. Rowan now at 5-4. If Washington loses to Dookie tomorrow, that puts them at 5-4 as well, and they're tied for the NFC East. You got the Eagles 3-5, which I can't really get a read on him. I thought he was going to be better, but Paulie just absolutely blew him out. I think it was like 40-0. And then Graham's somehow 2-6.
Yeah, I can't figure out Graham's. I will not understand that one. He's got his Cowboys. He's got Zeke. I just don't get it. I've given up trying to comprehend that. The thing with Klink is that he can melt down very easily. When he's in a game, he's fine. Once he starts doing dumb things like he does against Paulie, then things snowball quickly. Kind of like the dump mindset. Once you see like the one bad read you realize like, oh, this might get ugly fast. And part of it too is, I mean, his team stinks. That defense is, they might as well not even be on the field. Carson Wentz is awful in this game, real life too. But
yeah, I was a little surprised to see him go
him.
with Hurts instead of Wentz, or to go with Wentz instead of Hurts, trading
instead
Hurts.
of Hurts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Wentz is a superstar. I think he's stuck with him.
Oh yeah. That kind of hurts. Well, you're not stuck with anybody in this league. You can take a Michael Thomas or a Travis Kelce. You just cut him.
Just get rid of him. Just send him. Who cares? What are you gonna do?
Just let
and
him
then
go.
say you're uninterested.
That's right. Rowan's team's looking a little better. Struggled with the Jets, and I don't know what to make of the Jets, but 5-4, he's 1 game out. So we'll see what Q can do against Dookie. That can give him either a 2-game lead or a 1-game lead. Keep it.
Yep.
But
yeah, Rowan's got a tough schedule too. He's got Panthers up next. He's got RD. He's got Dump. He's gonna have Eagles again. So that's definitely going to be a good race here. Probably not quite as good as the other two, just due to the nature of the teams that these guys can seem to disappear randomly. But this will be another tight one for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how this one turns out. I don't think they play each other again, do they? I think Rowan already played him twice.
Yep.
And that's 2 of his losses. So any tiebreaker is going to go to Washington.
Yep. Yeah, so he's got to get out of there with a lead.
Yep. All right, then our last one, like we said, probably the best division, and it's the NFC West again. With RG back, now he's 5-3. Took a couple games to get kind of situated. I think he's lost to, was it Dump the first game, and then 2 losses to Meats. So he's not losing bad games.
Yeah, and the losses to Meats have been extremely close. Like I'm pretty sure they've been like, one play that if it goes a different way, he can win the game. So he definitely has not really been out of any of his losses except for the Dump one. He got, kind of beat down. But
yeah, so you got
not a bad schedule coming up either.
No, and that's kind of the benefit. He took the majority of last season off because he had personal issues going on, and I mean his team was, picking top 5, top 10, something like that.
Yep.
And so now he's got that 3rd place schedule, 4th place schedule, and it's definitely helping out.
Yeah, undoubtedly.
But one of my bold predictions was that there was going to be a 10 win team that didn't make the playoffs, and that it would come from the NFC West. And right now it's definitely shaping up to have 10 win teams and 3 of them there. But I don't know if either of them are going to miss the playoffs at this rate, because that NFC East is just looking bad.
The NFC East might hurt you. Yeah. Right now it looks like RD is the 7 seed, with he's got a 1-loss lead on Rowan. So we'll see if that prediction comes true. It's definitely going to be close. We have, looks like 3 teams at 5-3 right now, then 1 at 5-4.
Yeah, he just had Meats and Dump just played. They tied. So Meats blew it though. He had, I mean, you don't know what would have happened in that last minute or minute and a half, but he had his running back clear path to the end zone, and he decides to just pull up and try and run a little clock before he scores. And what happens? He doesn't score, so he has to kick the game time.
Seems like the one that's in this league most capable of overthinking himself out of a game.
Yeah. I'm all for trying to run clock and take the kick.
Yeah,
if you have the lead or it's a tie game. You needed those points to take the lead. You needed the field goal to tie. There's too much can happen. You could fumble. I mean, You're not talking about a weak defense either. That's the 49ers defense. Plenty of superstars on that defense that could have taken the ball away.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're lucky to get the 3 points. I would have taken that 7 and then just done my best to stop the offense, which isn't easy with Edens, but I'd rather be trying with the lead than trying with the tie anyway. But who do you think walks away with this division?
I think that without actually, hold on, I can pull up some of the schedules here. Just with the lead that he already has, and I think with most of his tougher games out of the way, I think Meats can hold on. He's got a couple losable games coming up. He does have to play the Panthers, which will be tough. He does have Q. He does have Woods, and then obviously Dump in week 17. But I don't believe Dumps is all that much easier. So it's going to be crazy with the 2-game lead. I think that RD will have a tough time making up that ground. And I think that tie is also going to really hurt RD in that chase. So I think it really is going to come down to meets and dump in week 17. And that is fully going to depend on how invested dump is. That's obviously been a hot talking point of late. But with dump, I think it is more true than probably any other member in the league. Are you going to get a focus dump or are you going to get kind of a half-hearted dump? Actually, dump schedule kind of stinks. NYT, he's got me on there. He's got Rowe, and then he's got RD and Meats again. So I'm gonna put my money on Meats.
Yeah,
closing it out.
I think, and I hate to talk about him because he'll usually talk about himself, but I think Meats has kind of gone under the radar for the majority of this cycle. He's easily one of the most consistent guys in the league as far as regular season records. If you look back just over the cycle or over even multiple cycles, he's at the top of that list as far as regular season record goes. But he doesn't get talked about too much. He just kind of, keeps going, does his thing, finishes at the top or near the top of his division and at the top of the league most seasons. So I think with his schedule and the 1-game lead already, I think I'm going to lean towards Meats as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's going to do it.
The 1-game lead and the tie is going to make a big difference for him.
Yeah, I think that helps him. It gives him that 1-game edge over Dump. So as long as he matches what Dump does, but then it's going to come down to that week 17 game if he falls one more game back. So definitely an interesting one to watch. So there's a couple good division races to watch. So that's going to do it for our what do you want to call it, around the league for the NFL standings. But speaking of standings, we have our prediction standings, and we haven't picked many games because we took that last week off. But right now, you're sitting at 4-5. Not the best record.
Not pretty.
I'm sitting at 6-3, but we're both better than our guests who have a 0-0 record since we haven't had one on until this week. So this week's predictions we're going to do with Grams. Grams, you here, Grams? Grams, can you hear us? Oh, that's right. Grams bailed on us last night. So Grams will not be
Thanks for your
picking.
contribution, Grams.
Yeah. All I heard about was, I was told I'd get to be on Heat Check. All right, Grams. Heat Check's going to be at 1 tomorrow. I can't make it. Okay. So we tried. We'll put his name as a guest picker. But he won't be making any picks. So we'll start with the first game. We'll go to week 10. Week 10, we just had 1 game already played. So Ravens, Browns. I'm going to go ahead and take the Ravens.
I think I'll take the Ravens in that one as well.
All right, so we'll tie that one. So the first game we've got is Broncos, Dolphins. Dan coming in, and that should be actually, it may have just kicked off. He said 2:30, I think, and it's 2:31 right now. So
he just put his stream in the chat. So.
Okay, so with that one getting ready to kick off, I'm gonna obviously go with the Broncos. I mean, he picked up Kelsey. He's coming off a Super Bowl appearance. It's tough to see him doing anything but running the table this season.
Yeah, he's the smart money. His team, he hasn't been quite as dominant as I think people have expected, but he's winning the close games, and that's all that matters. So until somebody knocks him off, I'll be picking Dan.
Yeah, I don't see that changing anytime soon. All right, so the next game is going to be Tampa Bay against Washington. Who do you have for this one?
I want to take, a valued member of the Thanos Club here, my boy Ebony. I think that Dookie has, for the first time in a while, a lot to prove. Coming off of a just poor performance, a poor showing in chat afterwards. So I think that he can get himself up for this game. So I think that he pulls this one out. I'm going to take Dookie. I somewhat regret it. I'm sorry, Q. I didn't mean to. Please forgive me.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to take Washington.
Thank you.
Two straight losses for Dookie. And I think maybe the book is out on him. Because
I wrote it.
you did write it. because I asked you, what did you see playing Dookie? And everything you said was exactly what I saw in this game against the Panthers. And it confirmed everything I thought about what my plan was going into that game. And then I go into that game and I saw exactly what you said, exactly what I saw against the Panthers. It was just the same thing again. And, for the majority of this season or this cycle, it's worked for him. So he's had no reason to change it. And I don't know if he's going to change it even now after two straight losses. And if he doesn't, well, I can tell you Washington already has that book. So
yeah, he was close last time. He was very close.
He was.
I think he blew it in the fourth quarter maybe, which has at this point become somewhat a little bit of a trend. But I know that he was very close in that game.
Look, I mean, Dookie lives on the turnovers. There's no secret to that. That's how he wins games. He gets more possessions than you, and then his offense has stars everywhere. But there's a very easy way to take away his turnovers. And the sooner people realize how to do it, which is turn on conservative and don't throw at Devin White. It's super easy. You just don't do those two things. Especially when you know where Devin White's going to be.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take long watching his games to figure that out. So I'm going to go with Washington this game.
I like it. Let's see it. That's going to be a big game. That's my favorite one of the upcoming slate.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited about that. And that'll be tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow afternoon. All right, so then we move on to Week 11. Week 11, we've got Carolina and we've got the Giants. These are two teams that kind of play up and down. And I really don't know who to take here. So I'm going to let you pick first, and maybe you'll convince me one way or the other.
Well, we know my history with Rowe. Whatever I pick, he's going to absolutely do the opposite. This kid absolutely butchers me in pick'em. He destroys my record, but I love him for it. With that said, I think the Panthers defense is going to give him trouble. It's very difficult to get separation from these guys. They can play the run well and slow down Saquon. Rowan plays a lot like me. If you can shut down the run early, I'm going to abandon it. Rowan is generally going to abandon it, which is a shame because it's his best player. So I'm going to take the Panthers.
All right, so you go with Carolina. I kind of want to go with Carolina as well. He just beat Dookie. Maybe he's kind of figuring things out. From the sounds of it, he was pretty good in primer as well. Rowan does still have that offense, and when he decides to use Evan Ingram and Barkley together, he can put up points, but I just watched him struggle against the Jets. So I'm going to go with Carolina in the unknown over what I know in Rowan, and I think Carolina might be kind of on the uptick here.
I can see this being a game that Carolina wins now, and if they were to meet in the playoffs, that Rowe would be a little more prepared and be able to take the victory in that one. But I'm still gonna go Carolina for this week.
All right, so the next game is going to be New Orleans against Chicago. Not exactly two powerhouses going at it, although in their own mind, this could be the game of the week because they both definitely think that they're playoff teams.
Get the commentary crew ready.
Yeah, this was one I would love to commentate with Prime. So if you're watching, let me know. We'll see if we can set this up. But New Orleans, Chicago, I'll let you take this one first.
This is a tough one. I know I just said earlier in the show that this would be, one of the only games I would have Colt favored in. With that said, I'm going to take Figs. He can slow the game down. He can run a little better than I think Colt can. I think Colt will potentially start raging if things are not quite going his way, because this is a game that I'm sure he's locked in as a W in his head. And once you start doing that Bears team can sneak up on you. So I'm gonna take Figs.
All right. Well, I'm going to take Figs as well, and I'm going to give Figs a little advice. I have Colt's
Play hard
pick.
flats.
I have Colt's first pick, so I'd like him to lose here. All you have to do is cover Hurst and Kamara. That's it. Don't worry about the receivers. He'll throw to him occasionally, but he'll throw into like double coverage. He'll lob it up there, throw jump balls to his 5'8" receiver, whatever he's got. Cover Hurst and Kamara. Those are his two guys he's going to do the most damage with. And if you cover those guys, he's going to panic and chuck it wherever. You look at the Lions game. Okudah had a big pick. I forget who else had the turnovers, but just cover those two guys. It's the New Orleans Hurst Kamaras. It's not the Saints. It's not anybody but those two guys. And put your QB option on conservative because he will run with Joe Green, and then just cover those two guys. You'll be fine. And Figs
hard
will get
flats
the win.
and user the tight end.
Yeah.
Let's see it.
And don't use Tom friggin' Brady. Use Trubisky. Use anybody that can throw it more than 10 yards. Brady's like 48 in this league. Stop trying to use Tom Brady. I think I saw he cut him. So I might even just pick him up just so he can't revert back to him. But I'm going with the Bears. I have faith in
preventative
Figs.
measures.
All right, so then we have the Rams and the Eagles. Again, the Eagles kind of can't really get a read on them, but I do feel like I have a read on RD, and I think he's finally back to where he was before he took that little hiatus. And I'm going to go with the Rams. I think Akers is back to running solid, and he's going to have another 200-something yards.
Yeah, Klink is a comparable player. The rosters are not comparable. And I think that's what's going to, really get him in the end. Klink very much struggles against the run, and that is a bad combination when you're playing Cam Akers. So I think Rams is an easy choice here.
All right, so that'll bring us to our first Week 12 game, and this one kind of seems obvious at first. It's San Francisco and Seattle. Dump sitting just behind Meats at 5-2-1, and then Tiny, perennial bottom dweller in the NFC West. But he always seems to give the guys in the NFC West some trouble. Whether he gets the win or not, he makes it a close game a lot of times. So I put this one on there, and but even though I put that on there, I'm still going with Dump. I think Edens is too good. Tiny's not going to be able to stop him. But this will be their second meeting in 2 weeks. The Week 10 meeting isn't on here, so we'll see how that goes, whether it's today or tomorrow. But who do you have in this game?
I'm not in a position in the standings to take big time risks, so I will be taking the Niners. But I am interested to see how Tiny plays it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be close. He always tends to keep them close.
Yep.
Another big Week 12 game though. It'll be Cleveland against Indianapolis. Woods taking on the Colts. The last time these two teams met was, I think, season 1 maybe, and Woods blew him out. He scored like 50-something points on him. Just absolutely blew him out. I wasn't sure Woods was going to make it in the league any longer after that because Prime had to be really upset. So who do you have in this game?
This game is an interesting one. I'm sure that Prime has not forgotten that first meeting. But even with that Browns roster is so much better than they were season 1. This is arguably the best team in the league on paper. Yep. And I'm going to say all that, and then I'm still going to take Prime because I think he's just going to be prepared. But it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, so as great as Woods' team is, and I'm not looking forward to playing him next week, but he has had trouble recently. Like, he just got beat by NYT, and he shouldn't have. I mean, his team is better than the Ravens. NYT comes out, and it's going to Bayless. It should have taken all of the first 2 drives to realize Bayless had a dev game and he was going to him because he used him quite a bit. Which hasn't even outside of the dev game. The guy gets over 20 carries almost every game. So I don't know if Woods maybe – I don't think he took the game lightly. Maybe he's just not finding his way in Madden this season. He started out really hard. Good, but I'm going to have to take Prime just because Prime's sitting at, he's got 1 loss, and I don't think he's going to get his second against Woods.
Yeah.
All right. So now we have Meats and the Cardinals taking on Carolina. And I'm going to go with Meats. The Carolina guy, I think he gets a big win the prior week against Rowan, but I think Meats is still good enough if he's going to come away with the win here.
Yeah, regular season, obviously you brought it up about Meats. Usually pretty safe picking a victory there. The Panthers defense will be tough seeing the first time, but also dealing with Kyler Murray the first time is tough. I'm not entirely sure that Panthers is ready for that. But with that said, we've picked too many of the games the same way, so I'm just going to take Carolina.
All right. Sounds good. That could either help you out or hurt you just a little bit further.
At this point, sometimes you got to take a Hail Mary. It's just not going to happen on the 49ers Seahawks game.
And then our last game is going to be the Texans and the Bengals. A 2-win team against a 1-win team. I know Two-Step he's hurt you before. You don't have to show us on the doll where he touched you, but who do you have in this game?
I mean, you know what you're doing when you tempt me with a two-step game in the predictions. Give me the Bengals, baby.
All right. And I actually think you're right here. I think it is going to be the Bengals, but just to give you a chance, I'm going to stick with the AFC South, and I'm going to give October. I mean, he beat Jacksonville, so I gotta pick him here. So we're going to take October, and we'll see next week how these picks pan out for us.
But poorly, if this season has been any indication.
All right, so we're sitting at 45 minutes right now. So much for trying to be a little bit shorter. So maybe we'll kind of go through this.
We have our thing and we stick to it.
We really do. But we've talked about most of these teams already, so if we're a little quick with this, that's fine. So we'll start in the NFC. I'll start with my pick for. And you know what? Let's change it up though. Let's start with number 1 and work our way down, because I think the tops of these lists are pretty predictable, and I think the bottom is maybe where we'll see something change. So, number 1 in the NFC is obviously it's going to be you and the Vikings. You've got the best record in the NFC right now, although I've seen you do that before and blow the bye.
That is a pretty common theme when it comes to the Vikings regular seasons.
Yeah, but your only loss this year was to Washington, so maybe you're getting those yips out of your system where you were losing to guys like Rowan and Matt. So I'm gonna go with you at number 1. Don't let me down here, but I got you at number 1. This time. All right, who's your number 1 team in the AFC?
My number 1 in the AFC is maybe not as obvious as it was in seasons past. I still have the Broncos, obviously undefeated, counts for something. I think we're about to witness a pretty big victory over Pauly. I will say that it would have been you if not for the one loss to the Texans.
Yeah, it was a bad loss.
Yeah, that one was a tough one. I think if it weren't for that, this might be a little different. But until then, we still got the undefeated Broncos.
All right, so then we're going to number 2 in the NFC. Number 2 in the NFC, I've got Meats. Not really a surprise there. He's second best record in the NFC, so I'm going to go with him. Played really well against Dump. Obviously, Dump played equally as well against him, but Meats has the better record. He's got the better track record going into this season and throughout his time in the SML. So I'm going to lean towards Meats here and give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yep. Yeah, so that takes me to number 2, kind of highlighted already, but I've got you there. I think the one loss was really all that took you out of that one spot. And I think right now you're just a little hotter than Prime. Could be that I'm still going off the big high from the other night. It was a big game, big win, very good for your status on heat check.
Yeah, and I'm preparing myself for that late season skid that I know is coming, but I'm just glad it didn't.
High while I can.
Just glad it didn't come 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I'll take that win, and if I take a skid towards the end of the season, so be it. But as long as it wasn't that one. All right. So my number 3 in the NFC, I'm gonna put Dookie there, just because he's played well. I don't know how long he's gonna stay at 3 though. Like I said, I think the kind of the blueprint to beat him may be out, and we'll see how he rebounds from 2 straight losses, if he becomes interested again. But for now, I got him at number 3, and his schedule, with Q coming up, I don't know if it gets any easier, and I think you're still on the schedule. So he has a chance to move up the list. But for now, I think it's number 3.
Cool. So my number 3 in the AFC is the last of the usual big 3. I've got Prime. Couple of big games coming up. He's got a chance to move up this list, but for now, I think he's just a tad bit behind you and Dan.
All right. Well, I appreciate you saying that right before I got to play him in a couple weeks. So
I create some drama. I'm taking lessons from Prime himself.
There you go. So speaking of drama, the one who continuously feels a little underrated or even offended by his ranking, I'm gonna put Dump at 4. Edens is carrying him to that number 4 spot. Everybody knows it's coming, and they're still not able to stop it. But
Wildcat, power I.
Yeah, it runs the Wildcat, and it seems to work pretty well for him. So I've got him at number 4 until he runs into somebody that can stop it consistently. Meats actually, if you go back and watch the Meats game against him, he stopped that Wildcat pretty much every time. Mm-hmm. So that may be something to kind of look back at and see what he was doing. Because if Edens gets stopped, Dump's in trouble. Mm-hmm. Or at least I think he's in trouble. I haven't seen him do anything else but run Edens. So that's
he tipped his hand when he traded his quarterback to then emphasize more on the run game. So at this point, you literally have not seen him really do anything else.
Yeah. He says he's happy with Hurts, and Hurts is he just gave him, I think, a 5-year extension for Hurts, but I guess that just means 5 years you plan on running. He's not awful. Much. He's 67% completion, 9 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Not exactly somebody I'd want to commit to for the next 5 years. 1,100 yards, not terrible. But so we'll see. He actually has only has 10 carries with Hurts. I don't know how many of those are kneel downs, but he's only got 39 yards. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how that goes, how that works out for him. He got him at least for a deal, so he's not overpaying.
For sure. Yep. So I got Woods at 4. Love the team. Would have liked them a little more had he pulled out the last victory against NYT. But I still think that he's got a pretty considerable margin between himself at 4 and then the guys below him. So
yeah, and talent wise, that team is stacked. So,
talent wise, I truly think they're 1, maybe 2 behind the Broncos, but the defense is unreal.
Yeah, I'd have to see his quarterback do a little more to be that number 1 spot, but he's definitely defensively got to have the top defense.
Yeah.
So that'll take me to my number 5 team in the NFC, and that's where I have Washington and QP. If Washington can pull out this game against Dookie, then I probably put him a little higher on the list, maybe even swap him in Dookie spots. But Dump did beat Washington, so it would more than likely just Dookie would drop down to 5. Dump and Washington would each move up a spot. And then depending on how the rest of the season went. But I have him at 5 now because he is, like you said, second halves have not been kind to Washington. Yeah. He did have that comeback. Was it last week? I think he came back at the end of that game against the Eagles. But for the most part, he collapses in the second half. Whether it's he becomes predictable and everybody can figure out what he's doing, and they adjust to it, or maybe he loses interest. Maybe that's what it is. Halfway through the game, he loses interest. But for
the only person
reason,
in the league who loses interest while he's winning.
Yeah, second half, he's the one. Second half, it just tends to fall apart for him. If he can lock that down, he's obviously going to move way up the list because most of his losses have come late. So I have Washington number 5.
Cool. In the AFC, I have the self-proclaimed JV squad. Paulie and the Dolphins currently playing against Dan. No idea what the score is.
10-0 Broncos right now. Minute left.
What is it?
It's 10-0 Broncos. Minute left in the first half.
That's about as expected. But
Dolphins are driving though. They're at the 30.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, I just don't think that Paulie has enough offensively to break further past this 5 spot. But I do think that he has enough defensively to keep him locked in that 5 spot. I don't think anybody's catching him.
So much for that. AFC. It's going to be pick 6 for the Broncos.
Well, speaking of the offensive struggles,
talking about the Dolphins not having, he doesn't have the talent on the team or whatever. Why? I don't understand.
Strictly a team management mistake. Yes.
Yeah, I don't understand how the Dolphins don't. He came into the cycle, one of the most cap friendly teams. You had a rookie quarterback, so you weren't paying him. You had 2 first-round picks, and somehow, while everybody else is making their team better, I don't feel like the Dolphins have gotten any better. And he'll tell you, he's got no superstars. How do you not have superstars? I mean, whether it's not drafting the right guys, signing the right guys. I'm not sure what's going on. It definitely looks like the trade to get the X Factor quarterback was a good move in the overall scheme of things, but maybe he could have got a little more for two. I don't know. I don't know why his team is lagging behind talent wise. He wasn't.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. There was a lot of routes you could have taken with the Dolphins. In my mind, I thought they were a top 5 team in Madden this season to take for franchise purposes. But things just haven't worked out there. He has not gotten development games. He, has not drafted well, it seems. Didn't use the cap space or, the draft picks for, any kind of trades. Really just didn't. I mean, he did make the one trade with Prime, but, he didn't get nearly enough that he should have. He got, a gadget running back and a mediocre safety. So, just poor choices all around in the team building aspect of things.
Yeah, it's just looking at his team, I was kind of curious how that happened. Because you've seen, look at a good one to look at, and it's surprising. Look at the Jets. His team actually isn't that bad. He's actually got a pretty solid team, and you're seeing it, I think, this season where he's kind of moving up to where he's not far out of the playoff hunt.
Right.
But we'll see. Maybe Paulie's stuff will turn around. Breida's getting a little old, but Hines is aging right there with him. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's going to do for running back. He's going to be kind of in a bad situation, I think, towards the end of the season, which I think is what happened last season with Minnesota as well. I don't think he had the greatest talent, but he was always at the top of the division standings. So
yeah,
we'll see how that goes this year. But that's going to bring me to my number 6 team in the NFC, which will be Rams and RD. And RD, I think, could be as high as 1 or 2 on this list. He's 5-3. He's lost three games to good teams. In fact, teams that are above him on this list. So, he's got the potential to move up the list, but he's got to beat the teams that are on this list above him. And
yeah.
But if he can get back to the way he was before last season, I think he'll be moving up this list pretty much every week.
Yeah, absolutely. So my 6th team, I have Future and the Raiders. I get the record is very good. It's almost as good as it gets. Only 1 loss. But I just got to see him beat somebody. I got to see. He doesn't even have to beat Dan. Like, keep it close. Would even help. His status. But until I see some more important games in the victory column, it's going to be hard for me to bump him further up on the list. But he's a firm 6 for now.
Yeah, and unless I'm mistaken, he's playing a 3rd place schedule. Which we've seen before. The first season he was kind of down. He got that 3rd place schedule, and then he goes 11-5. Then he's got to play a 2nd place schedule, which, I mean, there's probably not much of a difference between, or you would think there's not much of a difference between 2nd and 3rd, but a 2nd place schedule is playing either the Browns or the Ravens. 3rd place is getting the Bengals. A 2nd place schedule is playing either the Colts or the Jaguars. 3rd is getting the Titans or the Texans. So that's a big difference there. Granted, I played Future last season and he beat me at the end of the year. He caught me in my skid, but he beat me. So I think maybe it's a consistency thing. I'm not sure, but I think this season he looks to be back. He's got a running back that seems to be a necessity, especially if you look at these teams. Every single one of these teams on the top 6 for both the AFC and NFC has a running back they can lean on, and I think now he's got that. Why Jacobs wasn't the guy, I mean, personal preference, I guess. The guy's a 95 overall superstar, but he's not fast, so maybe that was the difference. But you got to have a running back, and now he's got one, so I think we'll see that he could definitely be back. All right, and then my last team in the NFC is going to be the Panthers. I think he's another one that could be higher on the list after that win against Dookie, but I tend to make a team do a little more before I give him the benefit of the doubt. This guy's like 4 games in. He's played prime tough. He beat Dookie, but then he goes out and he loses games he shouldn't, or he's close with, I think the Texans was like a 6-point game or an 8-point game.
I think outside of the Texans, his schedule has been pretty brutal. I think
it hasn't been an easy schedule. So it's another case of I want to see him do more. If you go back and look at the top 10 that me and Meats did before the season even started or the cycle started, he had what was it? It was October way up there and you way up there. And I was like, let's pump the brakes on these two. I mean, you guys didn't even have a season game under your belt, and he had like October number 7 or something.
I didn't even play in the preseason tournament.
Yeah. So maybe it's just me that likes to see a little more before I bump him up, but I'm going to put the Panthers guy at number 7.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't fault you for that at all. My 7th team in the AFC an hour ago was Coop, but then it didn't go great during said hour, so he has been axed. Sorry, Coop. Replaced him with NYT. I think the win over Woods did just enough to put him there. I do want to see him beat more playoff teams / any other playoff teams. The playoff teams he's played this season, all prior to this week, he lost to Meats, lost to RD, lost to you, and lost to Woods in week 1. So he's got a couple chances coming up here. He's got Dump, he's got Pauly, he has Coop, and he's got Prime. So if he can, get a couple wins in those games, it will be important for his rank. But for now, I've got him at 7.
Yeah, I think he's definitely got a schedule to prove that he should move up this list, but he's got to win them, like you said.
Exactly.
And that would definitely move him up the list if he does win those games, because they are some tough ones.
Yeah.
But
I'd say 4 through 7, all their spots are really up for the taking. It would be near impossible to break the top 3, but 4 through 7, it's all in flux.
Yeah, and so I know we didn't want to go over an hour, and we already just hit an hour, but
that's showbiz.
Kind of like you're saying. So the AFC 4 through 7 are in flux, right? Looking at the NFC, I'm tempted to say 1 through 7 is not a huge difference. I could see RD coming up and taking the top spot. I could see Washington taking the top spot. Panthers guy, not much on him, but if he continues the way he's been going, I could see him taking the top spot. I don't see as much difference 1 to 7 as I do 1 to 7 in the AFC. Dan to NYT or possibly Coop, there's a huge gap there, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see it. Dan's played Future. I don't think Future's beaten him a single time this whole cycle. And just this season, it was like a 21-point game. And that's with Future having his 7-1 team, possibly doing the best that he's done all cycle. So,
yeah.
What do you think? It was always said, well, maybe not by everyone, but the AFC was the more talented division over the NFC. And while I think it's still true as far as more likely to win Super Bowls, if we're just counting it by that, but do you think the gap is closing in the NFC, and the NFC is likely a deeper conference?
Yeah, I think it depends on the criteria that you're asking the question. I think when we're talking Super Bowls, I think the AFC still has a leg up. I think you, Prime, and Dan all, reasonably would be favored in just about any matchup that you would play in the Super Bowl. And I think that's what separates the AFC a little bit. But once you get past that top 3, then I think the NFC, kind of easily takes the rest of that conversation as far as just being more well-rounded. The NFC playoffs is far more interesting. Pretty much anybody can knock anybody out of the NFC playoffs. We have a couple teams in the NFC that don't make playoffs that, can beat playoff teams. I don't think the AFC has that. So, I think if you're looking strictly top heaviness, I think the AFC comes out on top. But if you're looking, conference versus conference, toe to toe, all the way down from 1 to 16, I think the NFC takes the better conference title right now.
Yeah, I think
we'll see if that changes if Dookie don't make it.
Yeah,
we'll see who replaces that Buccaneers team. But
yeah,
I think for now,
if I had to, if I pull Dookie out of that, and let's say Field General comes back, or really anybody, let's say Field General comes back, let's say Chris comes back, let's say it goes all the way to next season, and it's Spooky that somehow comes back. That Bucs team is off the top 7.
Yeah,
unless QB comes back and takes the Bucs, then I think the NFC doesn't lose anything, obviously.
Yeah.
But barring that, I think the Bucs fall off the list, and if I have to move somebody up, I don't know who it is. Maybe Rowan. He's at the just below Washington, but then that's where then I see a gap between you, Meats, Dump, and then Rowan. Granted, Rowan will throw a win in there every once in a while, but he's not a 13-3 team, a 12-4 team. Hell, the guys at the top of the NFC aren't those teams. They're 14-2, 15-1. So I see a big difference there when you do that. But the top 7, and you look at any one on those top 7 are probably favored over 4 through 7 on your AFC list. I think maybe I would probably switch Pauly and Woods on your list because Pauly, I think, would maybe be favored against some of those guys in the NFC. But Woods' future and NYT, I think they're probably the underdog against any one of those 7.
Yeah.
But so it's interesting to watch it as it changes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a cool cycle. I think we've had a very good amount of parity. To this point, we have 3 different champs, I believe, through 3 seasons. So that's that's always good to see. NFC playoffs have been different every season. AFC playoffs have thrown a couple curveballs. But all that's healthy for a league. You don't want the burnout of seeing the same guy every season after season, same Super Bowl matchup. It just gets old. Yeah,
for sure. It's kept it interesting, especially you have Super Bowls where it's guys that haven't even been there before. So that's fun to watch. And I'm curious to see how it changes the team selection for next cycle too. How many guys you got Dump specifically took the 49ers because he wanted to beat on Meats. What happens if Meats takes the Ravens next season? Does Dump try to stay in the AFC North so he can continue that, or does he run completely to the other side? Or just guys that have good rivalries going on, do they keep those or run away from them and try to do something somewhere else? But we'll see how that goes. So that's been,
it's gonna be interesting to watch.
So we're actually, we talked about being short. Our last couple episodes have been an hour and a half, so coming in at a little over an hour, I'd say we're actually shorter than usual.
Technically shorter.
Yeah. So
on a technicality, but
I know to run it over just another couple minutes, but it's Super Bowl Sunday. Who's your Super Bowl pick?
Logically, pretty much everything points to the Chiefs. I've watched the NFL enough times to know that they're going to give Brady a shot. Still got to go Chiefs. I think that's the smart money. Big thing is going to be how they officiate the game. If they're going to let Tampa be physical, if they're going to let the Tampa corners be physical, they've got much better shot. If they're going to call it tight, then I think they're in a lot of trouble. But it's going to come down to that Bucs defense.
Yeah, I think it will come down to the defense, and I think it really won't matter. Patrick Mahomes looks like really good.
I sometimes doubt whether he's human. I just don't think that the human body is supposed to do what his does. But
it's obviously very early in his career, but he could very well be the best ever to play quarterback.
It's
the things he do,
something special to watch. Yep.
Yeah, he just can do so many different things. He watched it go down big to the Texans last year, and just no big deal. We'll just come back and then blow them out.
Yep. Nonchalantly too. Never looked panicked. Never was worried about it. Just went out there, did his thing, did his little old man walk. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. No, he knows he can score every drive, and he knows it. So he's not worried.
He knows he can score every throw. It's terrifying.
Tyreek Hill helps out with that, but
yeah.
So I'm going to go with the Chiefs as well. So I'm sure we'll see the Buccaneers win, and then we'll be proven wrong, like most of our predictions. But until then,
that's what we do on this show, baby. Keep watching.
Right. Until then, 2-0 for the Chiefs. We'll see how it goes. But all right, we kept it under an hour and a half, so almost met our goal.
Mission accomplished.
Yep. So enjoy the rest of your weekend, and everybody watching. Hope you guys have a good Super Bowl party, and whatever team you're hoping for to win, I hope it's the Chiefs. But all right, till next week. This has been Heat Check.
Let me get a heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat. Can I get a heat check, 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 heat check. Let me get a heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check.